Limited with time, so I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to get to this very specific point. A lot of facts in there, so love to fact check some of that was brought up. But what I wanted to get to is $2.8 million. Where do you believe that money is going to come from?
It will come from the federal government. Just like the funding for Ukraine has come from the federal government. The funding for the PPP loans came from the federal government. The funding for these COVID-19 vaccines came from the federal government. The funding for the wars that have been fought. The funding to bail out the banks.
Right, but Mr. Dixon, really quickly here, that you are correct. That money that you're talking about comes from the federal government. They get that money from taxpayers. There are many taxpayers, many that had nothing to do with slavery. You believe that everyone should be tax-paying money to go towards reparations of $2.8 million. Is that your stance?
Number one, that money will not come from tax revenue. If anyone knows the basics of how it works from the federal government level, the federal government does not depend on tax revenue to fund the federal government. States do, not the federal government. That's number one. But number two, even if it did come from tax revenue, which it will not, think about all the times Black Americans were denied their rights, but our tax revenue, if I accept what you're saying as the truth, went to programs that Black Americans were not able to benefit from and which we had nothing to do with, such as paying reparations to the Japanese Americans who were interned when we helped to stop.
So where do federal taxes go to? When you work in your job, you do know that taxes come from your paycheck, state and federal. Where is that money going?
The federal government does collect taxes, but it's mainly as an incentive that helps stimulate the economy, to get people to participate in the economy. Okay. The federal government tax revenue in reality really functions as a supplement to the money that the federal government can generate as a monetary sovereign. A monetary sovereign, as said by Ben Bernanke and Alan Greenspan, who were chairs of the Federal Reserve, that the United States government can generate as much revenue as it needs. The main limit is inflation, not a limit to what they can generate based on tax revenue.
We got to stop it there. We're out of time. I know your website's got all your information. And of course, again, facing off against Jim Clyburn. So running in a primary against